start at the safe end. Personnel, finance, supply the rear-echelon specialties the Army files under combat service support. And the garrison postings, peacekeeping, a barracks, a base far from any front. Measured by the share who die on the job, these round down to almost nothing, and the service is proud of that number. But almost nothing is an average, and an average hides its worst morning. October 23, 1983. A Marine battalion is asleep in its barracks in Beirut. Sent there was sold as peacekeeping, not a battle, a garrison. A truck carrying the equivalent of 12,000 pounds of TNT crashes through the perimeter and detonates under the building. 241 Americans die in seconds. 220 Marines, 18 sailors, 3 soldiers. It's still the worst single day the Marine Corps has had since Iwo Jima. The safest posting on the list isn't a safe posting. It's a low number, waiting for one bad morning. One rung up, the support jobs in the war zone. Truck drivers, mechanics, the maintenance company that keeps the fighting units moving. The old Army slang for them is POG, person other than grunt. The joke is they never get shot at. March 23, 2003. A maintenance element of the Army's 507 33 soldiers in 18 vehicles. The slow, heavy trucks at the tail of the invasion takes a wrong turn into the city of Nasiriyah. There is no front line to be safely behind. When the ambush ends, 11 are dead and 7 are captured. One of the 7 is the soldier who'd become the war's most famous prisoner, Jessica Lynch. The bloodiest early day of the whole ground war didn't fall on the infantry, it fell on the mechanics. Support carries a lower death rate than combat arms, it just carries it in a truck that can't shoot back. Air Force Pararescue. The PJs. Their entire purpose is to be dropped into the worst place on the battlefield so someone else can be pulled out of it. Training runs about 2 years, combat dive, military freefall, survival school, a full paramedic qualification stacked on top. It's the longest enlisted pipeline in the American military, and more than 7 of every 10 who start at washout. But the danger was never the schoolhouse. It's the mission. A rescue crew doesn't get to pick its landing zone. It lands where the call comes from, and the call comes from the place everyone else already left. Their motto is 3 words, that others may live. The bomb tech. In the Army, the job code is 89 Delta Explosive Ordnance Disposal. In Iraq, the roadside bomb became the war's leading killer, behind close to half of every American combat death. Somebody had to walk up to those devices, not the infantry, the bomb tech, alone, in a suit that can top 80 pounds. Alone, because there's no reason to send 2 people to do a one-man job. EOD is a rounding error in the size of the force, so the raw body count looks small. Per man, the exposure is enormous. 20 Air Force bomb techs were killed across Iraq and Afghanistan, and their small career field came home wearing more than 100 Purple Heart. The whole job is walking toward the one thing every other person on that battlefield is running away from. Number 3 is the job you picture when you hear the word soldier. The infantry, 11 Bravo. The rifleman. Its mission statement hasn't softened in 100 years. Close with the enemy and destroy him. Every other job on this list exists to support that one sentence. In Vietnam, the ground war fell on the men carrying the rifle. 58,220 Americans died in that war, and the Army and the Marines, the 2 branches whose job is the closing, account for more than 9 of every 10 names on the wall. The infantry is the one job where the death rate and the job description finally say the same thing. Number 2 beats the infantry, and almost no one can name the job. Vietnam, the dust-off crews. Unarmed Medevac Hueys, red crosses painted on the doors, flying single ship into the exact landing zones. Everyone else was trying to escape. The man who set the standard was Major Charles Kelly, who ran the 1st Medical Detachment in-country. On July 1st, 1964, near Vinh Long, he brought his helicopter into a landing zone, so hot the ground troops radioed him to pull out. His answer became the creed the whole force flew by. When I have your wounded. A single round came through the open door and hit his heart. He said, "My God," and died at the controls. By the Army's own count, a dust-off crewman had roughly a 1 in 3 chance of being killed or wounded, and their aircraft went down at more than 1.5 times the rate of every other helicopter. The men whose only job was to save the wounded were dying faster than the men they came to save. They carried out somewhere near 900,000 people. The country got around to thanking them in 2024 with a Congressional Gold Medal. Most of them weren't alive to see it. Which brings the list back to where it opened. The deadliest job in American military history. World War II. The United States Submarine Force. About 16,000 men served aboard the boats. Roughly 1 in 5 never came back. The highest casualty rate of any American force in the war. 52 submarines were lost. More than 3,500 men went down inside them. Most with the whole crew, most never found. They called it the Silent Service, and the name was literal. The losses were kept quiet. The victories were rarely announced. Here's the part that should stop you. Every one of those men was a volunteer. The submarine force took no one who didn't ask for the job. They knew the odds. 1 in 5 and raised their hands anyway. And that same force, less than 2% of the Navy, sank more Japanese shipping than the rest of America's forces combined. The deadliest job in American history was also the most effective one. And no one has held it since 1945. So there's the list. Headlines follow the famous units. The death rate follows the jobs nobody puts on a poster. The bomb tech, the Medevac crew, and a volunteer in a steel tube who did the work that won a war and never got a parade for it. Next time, the same question aimed at the wars themselves. Every major American war ranked by the share of the men sent who never came home. Number 1 is not the one you guess.